MPDR Tool Time, your industry podcast, tools, reviews, and stories.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of PDR Tool Time. This is episode 161. I'm your host, Vince D'Alessandro, along with John Renstrom, Daniel Gromm, and Hudson Tanzi. Episode that we're going to cover a little bit of what we did this past weekend, and we're going to dive into the one, the only, Mr. Daniel Gromm. And before we do that, we're going to talk about our sponsors real quick. John, who's our sponsors?
Why, this episode is being sponsored by CBD Direct Oils, Mobile Tech RX, Magnatech Matte, Hog Glue and Hog Tabs, and our really good friends over at Edgy Tools.
Dave Streen, Edgy Tools.
That's right.
Now, keep in mind, you get discounts at two of those, right? We have CBD
right.
Direct. If you type in PDRTT, you'll get 10% off your order. And also PDRTT at
Edgy,
you get 10% off, I believe.
And I want to say something to folks out there. So I noticed my dog, she's getting older, and she started doing some weird things. And I took her to the vet, and they said that's a sign of seizures.
Like humping your leg consistently?
No, she would go hide in the
That's
closet.
just me.
She would go hide in the closet.
Oh,
Yeah, that might be your dog.
Yes.
And
No, me personally.
so I started giving her CBD, and it snapped her out of it in like literally
Really?
3 minutes. In 3 minutes, she was back to normal.
Now, does she have, does this happen every day? Do you have to give her dosages every
it's-
single day?
No, it's happened less and less since I started giving her the CBD.
Wow.
And it's a miracle. It's absolutely amazing. And then I went back to the vet and told them that, and they said, "Yeah, that's great. You can do that." Absolutely.
yeah. Well, you know what? I'm more concerned about myself and my body and not your animal, Daniel.
Well, me too, man. I'm concerned about you every freaking day. Man.
You should be. Falling
But it's
apart
still
over
never,
here.
it's never good watching your pet go through stuff. They become such a part of your life.
They do.
That-
I see you
That's
sucking
awesome.
on that. I see you sucking on that thing all the time. I'm always worried about you.
Well, there's
You're putting
CBD
stuff in
oil in there.
That's what I was gonna say. We're putting some oil in there.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Yeah, I'm still taking mine every morning with breakfast.
Yeah. And I take mine when I go to bed.
I take mine twice a day.
Nice.
Hudson, we'll get your response in 10 years.
Yeah, you're not quite old enough.
I'm already feeling it though.
Yeah. Hudson, would you take CBD oil too, don't you?
I do. I don't have the CBD Direct. I just got done doing a lot of research on some CBD brands and stuff, and I just got some of my own. But now my next purchase will be from CBD Direct.
Do a little testing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? It's 10% off. You can't
Now,
go
I
wrong.
was using some stuff before the Serenity from CBD Direct. I was using some stuff from Green Dragon down in Denver.
Ooh,
I can't ship it here to South Dakota, so I have to smuggle it in myself. And the Serenity actually works better for me. I like it better. Doesn't taste as good. Now, the stuff from Green Dragon was cinnamon flavored, and Serenity is still more like plant dirt based.
No, it's just plain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
flavor
very
added.
plain. But my sciatic nerve is gone fast after I take it. My sciatic nerve pain that I wake up to every day,
Yeah.
just gone.
Well, and that's the thing, because I was using a Papa in Barkley, which is the highest rated one in California. It comes from Humboldt and whatnot. It's really expensive stuff.
Yeah.
And the Serenity works just as good as that. So it has to do with the purity and all that stuff. And those guys over at CBD Direct, they're pure and it's good stuff. So check it out. And moving on, John and myself, what were we doing this weekend, John?
Oh, man. St. Louis at the casino. All the gambling was done at the Edgy Tool booth. No, we all did you and I were both at the 300 Hail Seminar. That's brought to you by 300 PDR Mobile and Axiom Body Shops there. Ryan, Tony, and Bill put that on. It was really good. Actually, it was really good. Mobile Tech RX got invited sort of at the last second. We didn't want to ask, but you, the users, asked that we show up. We got to present. Bill Parks and I did a co-presentation, and actually, I'm working with Bill on a little bit more info for those guys that are using the Power PDR box. We got some tools we want to add to that actually make it work better, and Bill brought that to my attention. So I'm getting some more information on that and hoping to get some of those in.
Yeah,
That's exciting. That's good.
it is. And
So let me ask you some questions about it. So was it a good turnout, first of all?
it was probably less than expected. It's
Yeah.
their second annual one.
Yeah, but that's because last year kind of sucked for hail. But
And
That's the
thing.
biggest thing that hurt.
That's the biggest thing that hurts. And now you're right before the hail season. A lot of these guys, they've spent their money. They've busted their nut
Yeah.
already, and
Yep.
taking a
But,
trip to St. Louis might not be in the cards.
Honestly, the talk, the speech is given. While I got boned by the airline and missed all the day Friday. Listen to everybody speak on Saturday. This is not a sales pitch all day seminars. There was so much information dropped on here that it's not even just about hail. The knowledge that was dropped was everything. Bill and I spoke strictly on writing your estimates, dealing with adjusters. Vince, you and Kevin did a big presentation. Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Yeah, on Saturday, myself and Kevin Andrews from TDN, we presented a continued education seminar for an hour, and we talked about continuing your education. Now, you guys that listen to us, all our PDR Tool Time fans, you guys listen all the time, so it's great. But there's guys that were at that seminar that never heard of podcasts out there, or Mega Media or Dent Trainer and stuff like that. And there's so much information out there now for you guys, for us technicians, not just you guys. I watch it too. I go on Dent Trainer. I watch YouTube videos. I'm always continuing my education, and that was what our topic was about, was continuing your education and, getting IMI certified, or not getting IMI certified, getting ICAR certified. We were trying to encompass everything. Just continue learning in this industry and advancing your skills and moving forward with tools, with knowledge to build your business better.
Gene Fetty gave a great talk on Facebook advertising with Facebook, Instagram, moving your advertising dollar. I'm going to give a quick shout out here to Farzam Afar?
Yes, I met him.
Asfar?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting guy from Verifax Automotive. These are the guys that really dive in and certify collision centers. Now, this is far out of the PDR realm, but not that far out. The stuff that he discussed, liabilities, everything that us repairers are open to, the world of the changing automobile, the things that you're seeing.
You know what? And we talked to him personally for the IMI certification stuff, and that stuff. I'm telling you, if you're thinking about getting certified for level 2 hybrid EV, you might want to consider it, because it will be within their parameters. We're going to get verified with that as well. And once that happens, we're talking about the manufacturers coming on and everyone else, and it's going to be crazy busy. So get in on the ground now.
Quick question about that then, Vince.
Yes.
If you do become verified in that, will the gentlemen or ladies that have already taken the IMI certification, will they be grandfathered in?
Oh, absolutely.
That? Okay, so you won't have to take it again.
No. See, it's
Okay, cool.
it's like
Nice.
this IMI is already verified, and they have an ISO certification, which is international standards. So a lot of people question that. Are you verified? Are you verified? Well, we don't have any U.S. governing body that has verified IMI. Europe, yeah. England, yeah. Different countries, absolutely they do. But that was one topic that was coming up. So we're going to spend the time and the money to get verified by a U.S. company. That way, the guys out there that are wondering, well, is this for real or legit? We'll have that verification behind us as well.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, the information at that show, honestly,
John.
is my first shot at it.
John, what you missed Christina Seckinger's.
Now I got to hear about it. But fill us in. I heard people were crying in the stands.
She had 200 men and women crying. They were all crying and weeping about the stories of how Anson started and the progression, and her driving around being a little girl, summers being spent in the back of her dad's car, driving around all over the Midwest selling Dent tools. And it was very endearing. Sorry.
It is a killer story. If you guys have never heard the story of how Anson came to be and how Christina came to take the reins of Anson,
I'm
really
actually,
good story.
just to give you guys a heads up, I'm actually doing a documentary on it right now.
Yes, I was about to say, if you aren't doing that yet, Vince, you're dumb.
No, it's already started. It started a year ago. So
good, you're not dumb.
No, I'm not that dumb. I'm a little bit dumb, but not totally. So yeah, I've been documenting that I actually put it up on the Anson. A lot of people don't know this, but there is an Anson YouTube channel. You could go up there and you could listen to it. I haven't really advertised it, but you could listen to her speech, and it was very nice. There's a couple minutes missing out of it, though.
Yeah.
So
I heard it was really, really good. I'll give this shout out to the tools. Now, I haven't purchased this tool, but for stripping off the E-coat before you're using tools like the Big Dent machine,
Power
PDR box, anything like that, it's a new disc out there called the Flex Prep, FLEX Prep. I found it from Ryan Hampton had sent a post from equipmyshop.com. Now, they don't have them individually yet. They're only available in multi-packs, and they're pretty pricey at $160 for the large pack. But
how many in a pack?
25 in this pack. And honestly, most of us Dent guys will never wear out one of them, most likely. Now, these have a coating on them that doesn't allow it to put a bunch of heat into the panel. And it preserves the metal's full structural integrity, not to removing valuable material that is required for welding applications.
Wonderful. Well, make sure you put the link up there.
It looks like, a rock, like
a stone of some sort.
Yeah, it looks like
it's a woven pad. Now, I have not used and I do need to make a bit of a retraction for some of the stuff that I said, and Bill kind of set me straight. Bill and I had a good conversation about this. Now, I've always used Flex Prep pads. They were the pads that mechanics use to remove gaskets, so you don't grind. I've never ground off any of my paint and E-coats. I stopped doing that 16 years ago in the body business. I stopped using grinders for removing coating. But I have been telling and talking about this and talking about making a custom ad in Mobile Tech RX and labeling it restoration of E-coat and charging separately from doing the corrosion protection. That is an incorrect labeling. I was incorrect in saying that. I got that advice from a body shop along with the materials that I was using, but do understand a body shop is also the same organization that lost a $42 million lawsuit for doing something incorrectly. It wasn't the same body shop, but that's how much misinformation is out of there. We should be using it more as a refinishing of the backside, because technically speaking, not a single one of us can ever restore that factory E-coat.
Of course.
It's baked on. It is done, whether it's dipped or sprayed from different manufacturers. That wording itself lended myself to a liability because I stated something that I could not do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have that correction and correct myself on that a lot more too.
Yeah.
I'm on this website right now, John. It looks like they have a 2-inch disc coming out soon.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some more discs coming out, and the more information I get, I'll keep everybody prepped.
Now, what are you guys using? Are you using a drill? Are you using an air tool or whatever?
I use my little impact,
and I use my drill. I'm sorry, my air drill.
Now, have you guys got an extension for those things?
What do you mean by extension?
No.
I have probably a 8-inch extension. So if I'm in a door, I can get into the door without having to put the whole tool inside.
Oh, gotcha.
That makes sense. Yeah. I haven't run into that situation yet.
Yeah, I did, but it was awkward. Yeah, I could see how
doing it all by hand.
Well,
Yeah, and this is the kind of tool that's designed. It looks like it maybe. Now I don't want to misspeak or anything, but it helps promote that electrical contact. So if you're using it with one of these big dent machines or something, you're going to get the tool should work just a little bit smoother and faster and maintain a cleaner arc.
Oh, good.
So
yeah, and
I hope to get some testing done.
Yeah, that'd be great. In the meantime, if you do need discs, Anson does sell the discs in packs too as well. The 2-inch discs, but they don't carry this brand. But they do.
Right. The flex disc.
The flex disc.
Yeah.
Right.
The surface reconditioning is what mechanics use to take off the old gaskets because they can't grind the material on a head or a block.
Sure.
So
yeah.
And that's what I've always used myself.
Yeah.
But again, technology has changed. The cars have changed. We all need to keep up with the times, and our materials do too.
And that's what that's what our talk was about. Myself and Kevin's was the continued education. We're making this industry more credible by going in and doing it professional and doing it to manufacturer specifications and making sure when we leave the car is done properly.
Yeah.
So,
repaired properly.
And that's one thing I just want to wrap it up with the whole Hail Expo is that I was really surprised how professional everyone was at this expo. When you go to MTE, we're there for the party. We're there for the connections. We've been going for years. We might not go to all the seminars, but these guys, every single person, I commend everyone that was there. You were there for education and to promote yourself and your business. And I thought it was really good.
I'm not even a hell chaser, and I had a serious case of FOMO, following everything on social media. I'm like, man, I want to be there. I don't chase hell, but it looks awesome.
The information on it was huge, and Ryan is exploring some different options for dates and times, and maybe co-joining some stuff. So do check back on their website, or we'll kind of keep you posted as true dates get out and set those in.
Yeah, and we'll do our own investigation. We'll let you guys know. We'll give you any great information that we find out.
Yeah, because it was a good show. But right now, we need to get to deeper knowledge on the man, the myth, the legend, the Gromminator.
Daniel Gromm, hairy monkey, the Gromminator.
The Gromminator.
Yeah.
All right, Hudson, do you still have your list of questions from
Oh,
last week?
you do know. I have my own list of questions.
Because we're going to get to know our podcaster, right?
I actually learned a lot about Vince, man. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know this.
Yeah, see,
I knew everything. I've been sleeping with Vince for years now, and I thought I knew everything.
You
missed that whole stripping thing.
Yeah, I had someone actually contact me that their mother was a stripper.
Really?
How awkward was that? Could that conversation have been?
That was a tough conversation right there.
Were they asking if you were daddy?
Actually, it was Stephen Hamby. His mom was a stripper. In the graphics department.
Press.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So he knew exactly what I was talking about when I said I was a stripper.
That's awesome. Now, Daniel, you have posted some little bit tidbits here and there, and you're a little bit older than the rest of us.
I just turned 57 years old.
Yes,
but don't you have some record-setting achievements in your youth?
Yeah, I was. I started inventing stuff very early on. I started luging. I made my on luge board in 1977.
Before it was called the luge, right?
Before it was called luge.
Explain. Maybe there's someone out there that doesn't know what this is. So please explain before we go any further.
Laying down on your back on a skateboard. But we made our own boards out of plywood. Basically, we cut out plywood, nailed it together.
Metal wheels, right?
No, we had
the plastic
red kryptonic. No, they were made of stone.
Yeah,
red kryptonic wheels.
Okay,
those were the good ones.
Tracker tracks and trucks, and it had a dip down for your butt to be in, and then we we were taking down little hills and stuff, and you'd fall off and you'd slide on your butt. So we started taking carpet and started wrapping around our butts. So when we slid on our butts, we'd slide on carpet.
That's a carpet burn.
Yeah.
All right. How old were you, Daniel?
I was 14 years old.
Now,
And this is where? What part of the country?
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa, California.
see,
Yeah.
and you know, and I always heard
And then we started making the boards better. Go ahead.
Now, Daniel, like I live in Long Beach, California. We have a place called Signal Hill right here, and that's where the world record was set back in the day for like downhill.
Huge.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah.
They now have leveled it a little bit and graded it so it's not as cool as it used to be. But some son of a bitch got on a skateboard and went down this gigantic hill, you know, and there's a stop sign at the end. So I always, whenever you tell me these stories, Daniel, I'm picturing you doing this.
Whoa, he went on a skateboard, not a luge?
Yeah, he did skateboard. The world record was set on that hill, Signal Hill, back in the day. I don't know if it still holds, but
Yeah, those guys are crazy. They stand up. You watch them on YouTube.
Speed wobbles.
That's nuts.
yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Now, we actually went down Mount Tam, and I don't know if you guys know what Mount Tam is. It's in Sausalito, California. But Mount Tam is a huge mountain, huge, and it's all switchbacks. And we took our skateboards to the top of this thing and rode down with traffic, passing cars, and cars didn't even know what was going by them. You know,
Right.
just like zipping by. We had zero fear. We were stupid. I mean, and then we invented a thing called downhill coaster bikes, and we took a big beach bomb, basically, but 20-inch wheels on it. Took out the cranks, no cranks. And we'd weld a peg on the back. So you put your feet way back in a banana seat and down bars. And then one brake on the front is all we had. And I'm talking the old type of brake, you know, with the cable, you know. And it would last about 5 minutes before it would heat up and it just wouldn't work anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
And on the front wheel.
And then you use your feet, and you go through a pair of tennis shoes every time you went down a hill.
Oh,
Yeah.
And and then we did something then we took it to another level of stupid. I didn't do this, but my friend Ron did. We did it at night.
Oh, wow.
And we were going down in my buddy's van, and he goes, "Just keep the headlights on me. I'll be able to see." Until he pulled away from us and went around the corner, and all of a sudden he disappeared into the dark. We come around the corner, and he's like
Stopped.
embedded into the side of the mountain in mud.
Oh, God.
He's just like Jurassic Park, you know, just like can't move.
Well, let me ask you this, Daniel. Was there alcohol or substances involved here or was it just pure adrenaline and stupidity?
We were just pure adrenaline. I mean, I think we might have smoked a little bit back then, but I don't recall that being like the major thing.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, I did a lot of wild stuff on bikes, but I lived out in the middle of the Plains states. So, you know, if we had a hill, it lasted for 100 yards.
Right. Same here.
Yeah.
Back in Chicago.
I'm in Houston, and so we would just, in college, I would just go to...
You don't know what a hill is, right?
Yeah, not until you get to Texas Hill Country. But, I mean, we would...
Yeah.
In college, I used to go to parking garages, and that's what we would do. That's our switchback, our parking garages.
Parking garage.
But by the time I was in college, those silly devices called ripsticks were around, and that's what we would go down. The one with just like one wheel in each, and you have to like swivel it like this.
Oh yeah.
And so you have like it's I don't know, it's like considered, I don't even know how to explain it, but that's what we would go down.
Yeah.
But that's nowhere near as crazy as what you're.
Well,
all right.
Here's
So
the
here you
deal.
are.
Hold on, John, because if you ever room with Daniel or take a hot tub with Daniel, you'll see the results.
You'll see this. Yeah,
of all this
it's hard living.
this hard living. Yeah,
that's hard living.
He's like Frankenstein. He's been put back together many different times.
I have 9 scars and counting.
Well,
significant.
We're not talking like tiny little scars either. We're talking like like it looks like your rib cage has been replaced.
So now, all right, what spent your teenage years daredeviling in some of the most unsafe equipment two kids could build. How did this turn into Paintless Dent Repair? What were you what did you do after the Daredevil years?
Don't jump, because there's a modeling career in here in between too.
I know, that's where I'm leading up. We're at Daredevil years, and now we know present PDR, Daniel. But what did Daredevil transition into?
It actually went to into motorcycles, and I was working construction. I got a job working at a motorcycle store in between jobs, and I was selling motorcycles. And I go, well, if I'm selling motorcycles, I got to buy a motorcycle. So I bought a Honda Hurricane from my buddy that was racing, and he was racing it, and he was getting the next bike, and so I bought it from him. So this thing was all blueprinted out. It was, it was pretty high tech at that point. And I was coming home on my birthday. I was 25, and it was early in the morning, and I was zipping along back roads, and I was going too fast. Went into a corner, and the turn kept on turning. And as I'm turning through the corner, I'm like, I can't turn anymore. And I drifted into the other lane, and all of a sudden a semi truck came around the corner.
What?
And I laid the thing down. I slid sideways on and landed against the big 12 by 12 posts that hold up guardrails at 65 miles an hour. The bike hit the semi truck front wheel and bounced off, totaled the bike. There wasn't even a remnants of the bike. The only thing left was the engine.
It exploded, huh?
I collapsed the whole back swing arm. The rims were broken. I mean, it was a mess. And I'm laying there, and I can't breathe. And then I hear the truck driver go, "Oh my God, look at his leg."
Oh.
And I'm trying to move, and I can't move. And I'm like, I think I screwed up, man.
You think?
And they had an ambulance there like 5 seconds. I mean, it was quick. They were there like really quick.
This would have been around 1987 then?
Yeah.
I'm following the timeline correct?
Well, they were probably, the ambulance was probably following Daniel at this point. Hey, there's Daniel Gromm. Just follow Daniel Gromm.
Exactly.
We have another scar story to sell right now.
Yeah, and they cut the clothes off of me. I was butt naked leaning on the street. And then they had to, my lung was collapsed, so they had to stab me, bring my lung up, and take me to the hospital. And I woke up 2 days later in ICU with 6 pins in my hip, 3 pins in my knee. I pulled apart my pelvis, broke 7 ribs, punctured lung, had internal bleeding, fractured my back.
You should have been dead.
Yeah. And one of my friends walked in to come visit me, and he passed out.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
And
CBD works for you, right?
yeah, it works for me. But that incident was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it changed the course of my life.
Yeah.
And it led me into, it took me 2 years to recover, but I got into the car business because of it. The guy that hired me in the motorcycle business, they also owned the car lot. Mm-hmm. And so he switched over to the car lot by the time I got repaired, and he goes, "Hey, I'll give you a job." And he helped me out a lot. His name was Mike Benzie, a really great guy. And he got me my job selling cars. And I was selling cars, and then, one day I'm sitting there, I sold a car with a dent in it, heard about these dent guys. So I, called them up, and they go, "I'm 2 weeks out." And I go, "Wow, really? Okay." So set up an appointment. He comes in wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm wearing a suit on a hot summer July day. And he comes in, works 20 minutes, and he hands me a bill for $120. And I'm like doing the math. And I'm like, oh, what the hell am I doing? So I walk out, and I talk to the guys that are doing upholstery repair. And I'm like, what do you guys know about this PDR stuff? And they go, oh, we did a bunch of investigation. We found a school down in Los Gatos. And I'm like, really? And he gave me the pamphlet. I called him up, and I was there that following week. I borrowed the money from my parents. It was $10,000, and went to school, and I quit probably 2 days later, I think. And because I knew it was weird. I knew this is what I was supposed to be doing.
And what year was this?
I was just going
92? 91.
93.
93.
93. Oh, I was in pre-K.
No, Daniel. And so not to interrupt where you are with your timeline,
No, that's fine.
but when did the bench grinder come into play? Was it back when you were making skateboards, like crazy skateboards and shit? Or
Yeah, I was
a little
always
bit-
building stuff. I received the Golden Hammer Award in high school.
So was it
job.
what year was it when you first got your first bench grinder?
Actually, I used my dad's bench grinder from day one. Man.
He was born into a bench grinder.
It was
You had merely purchased your bench grinder. Daniel was born into the bench grinder.
My dad and my brother-in-law were very big influences of my life. Both of them did everything themselves. My dad, I'm going to tell you a crazy story. So we had a piece of property with a creek, and we had culverts for the creek to go through. And the city says that's not big enough. And he goes, well, those are the biggest culverts that they make. And he goes, that's not good enough. So this is what my dad did. He goes down and he buys a flat car, a train flat car. And he says, can you take the wheels off this and deliver it? The guy goes, yeah. So he gets this flat car delivered on a semi truck, and he preps the ground and everything. And he goes, what do you want me to do? And he goes, I want you to back up. And he had a tractor, lifts the thing where it's just balancing on the edge of this trailer.
Yeah.
Right. He goes, I want you to speed up and stop short. And this
throw
thing's
it
going to
off.
roll off and drop.
Yeah.
And the truck driver goes, that's nuts. That's nuts. No way. And he goes, son, I was in the U.S. Navy. This is the way we did it. It's going to work.
Yeah.
And son of a bitch, if it didn't, I mean, it worked. And it sits there today, man.
It's still there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a tough time to rot that thing away. That's a lot of iron. In it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So fast forward. Now you're back. Okay. Now you got PDR. It's going through your veins. You're growing. Your heart is expanding.
Hold on.
Like,
How long was your training?
1 month.
Okay.
And the same guy that trained me trained Craig.
Yeah. Craig Dyer from
Anson.
Anson.
Handsome. Nice.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And-
I've met him. Great guy.
Yep. And
You know what? He's younger than you, isn't he?
probably.
Yeah.
But I look younger than everybody,
Sure. Of course.
even you guys.
Yeah, because you know what? We skipped it. Hold on. What part? We skipped the whole gay model thing.
No, we don't want to get into that.
No. We can go back for that. No, I'm okay going back for that. Hold on.
Zip, back.
There's
Yeah.
no gayness going on, man.
I'm sorry, not gay model. You were
Okay.
You were
It was the 80s.
you were a Sears Roebuck model for the bolo tie, correct?
Is this where the Craftsman hammer comes into play? No.
Right? The bolo tie was
All
really
right,
big
all right.
in the early
We need
90s. And
We need this story.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
modeled bolo ties. Really?
No, I when I was doing construction, I got laid off a lot, so I'd take odd jobs. So I worked at a high-end, super high-end fashion store for men and women, and excuse me, I had to play gay sometimes to sell stuff.
gay to pay.
Yep. And they
I'm sorry, gay for pay.
and then they did this big, huge fashion show, and they asked me to do it, and I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And,
only thing going through my head is Beverly Hills Cop.
All right.
it was very much like that.
Yeah.
And-
It's Saj. When you say it, you make it sound like a laundry detergent.
Did you have a blazer on that you rolled the sleeves up on?
Oh yeah.
Dude, you know, I was wearing back then. There were like $1,200 suits that I was wearing in this show,
That's your
and I
model?
wore
Wow.
I wore these $600 leather pants, silk lined leather pants. Awesome.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
That they ended up giving me, and I still have them.
No, you don't.
Yeah, size 27. They're size 27.
Size 27.
I
Yeah.
think you could
I
fit
can't
it.
even fit into a 27.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Your son could go as like an 80s supermodel for Halloween, and it'll probably fit him.
I think my daughter might fit in them.
Yeah. Yeah, your son's probably more than a 27
Man,
now.
I can remember the leather pants from the 80s.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't.
So
That's awesome. I don't.
Good times.
I can't believe you tried to glaze past that right into a motorcycle wreck.
Yeah, and selling cars.
Make himself sound really cool. Skip over the model portion.
Yeah. No,
So
that's an important part of your story, because I've seen the pictures, and if you're friends with Daniel Gromm, you could go on his Facebook site and actually see some of those gay model pictures. He has them up there.
That's like on it.
Hudson is all up. All right.
All right, moving forward.
So that's how you got into it.
So
I'll read through
2
Hudson's
years,
questions here.
Literally, not even 2 years into PDR, there's no tools out there.
Yeah.
And
This would have been 93.
93. And so I was at this body shop, and they had these tools from Specific Innovations, and they look like medieval swords with these big cages around the handles and stuff. And it was like bizarre looking. So I called up the guy, and his name's David Weiss, and I'm like, dude, what is this? This is like, what is this cage around the handle for? And it's for leverage against your forearm. And I go, your forearm doesn't even get involved in this. And he goes, well, I go, how long have you been pushing dents? And he goes, I don't do dents. I go, okay, that makes sense. And he goes, well, why don't you design some tools for me? And I said, sure. Okay. And so I started designing tools for the guy, and and then he asked me to help him at his booth at NACE that same year. So this is like 93, 94, I think. Yeah. And that's where I met Tom Price. And we like to say that we were the first two dent guys meeting from East Coast, West Coast, and that, we're the first part of MTE.
The first unofficial MTE took place in 1990. This would have been probably 94, first
94,
first
I believe.
Year,
Yeah.
At NACE. Yeah, that was about the time I was in the body shop then, and I was hearing and reading stories of body shop business magazines and hearing a little bit about paintless dent repair, but it was still pretty quiet and way in the background, and the dark little secret nobody talked about.
Yeah, and then it turns out that David Weiss was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and really weird and strange, and there's lots of stories out there about him. But
I've heard the name, but
yeah.
I can't say that I've ever met him. But
no, you never want to. And so what happened was his tool guy left him and called me, hey, do you want to make tools? I got a call from a guy from Japan wanting tools. So I'm like, hey, yeah, I got tool maker. I got, a tool guy in Japan that wants to make. Vince has a bunch of audience there.
Sorry, yeah, I got my brother here from Chicago and my buddy Kevin from Chicago. They've never seen a podcast.
What are they taking pictures of?
They're Midwestern corn-fed guys. Look at the size of them. They've never seen a podcast recorded.
I feel like I'm a zoo animal or something. Right?
fishy.
I can't taking pictures like. Yeah. Weirdos.
So after NACE, so then 93. Now, were you working for somebody, or did you always go for
I was working for myself, and then I got into the tool business. I started designing tools, and I started selling these tools to these guys in Japan. Started doing training. I opened my shop in 94, and the only way I was keeping it afloat was doing training and selling tools, because nobody knew what PDR was. I was on this back road in Santa Rosa, and it was kind of hard to find. And I was trying to do all kinds of, conventional advertising back then in the phone book and all that kind of stuff. There was no internet. And so it was hard to get business going and getting started, not like today.
Back in the day, we did direct mailers, where you hope for 3% of the people that you sent mailers to would actually call you. We had all sorts of stuff that we had to do. We had to work a lot harder back then than this younger generation.
So easy now.
It is.
Okay. So this
and
will
spend
lead
a lot of money.
to our next question.
Yeah, go.
Is we asked Vince this. I want to get your take on it, Daniel. How far has the technology come since you started?
Oh God, you guys have such an advantage. It's so huge. Like Vince said, lighting was peak. I mean, my first light I learned on a light, a 2-bulb regular fixture you got out of a hardware store on this big, huge metal stand that weighed 2 tons. And I was mobile when I first started. I would haul this thing out of my little vehicle every single time, and it was clunky as hell. And I'd have an extension cord that was like 3 miles long to get to the lot. I mean, I didn't know anything else. I didn't know what a reflector board was, and then when I finally saw the guy with the reflector board, I go, "Oh, my light's far superior," and it was archaic back then, but that was one of the most pivotal things. Lighting has been huge. I mean, it progressed. I actually started making my own lights, and I made it from stuff I would get at the hardware store, making it more portable, and then buying RV lights, and using that kind of stuff. And
that's Hudson's specialty there, the RV light.
Yeah. And, spraying fog on them and all that. And, but those things would, every time you drop them, the suction cup would lose, you drop them and you break the bulb, and you have to be going to the hardware store to get the bulbs.
Well, even before we had suction cups, we were using magnets.
Magnets, yes. Yeah, you're right.
We had the lock line. Lock line's been around for forever.
We had lock line,
but we had the magnets, and then you would have to put a rag over the magnet so you didn't scratch the panel. And you would have to actually watch and make sure that you did not pick up any type of magnetic rock or stone off the ground, because it was, it wasn't a rare earth magnet, but it was strong enough to pull shit from the ground.
And it was a regular rag, not a microfiber.
Not the microfiber.
No microfiber. You're talking like a shop rag, because it was thin and you wanted to have as much magnetic power as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, quick 30-second detour a little bit. You both have answered the same thing: is the lighting. Do we see the lighting getting even better than what it is now, or do you think we've reached kind of the pinnacle?
No, I think it will get better.
Yeah, I agree.
We've plateaued.
Well, I think
so.
I think it has plateaued a little bit, but I think we'll see some new things. I won't even rule out augmented reality.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I would say, I'm with you, Daniel. I think I've had some people whisper some stuff in my ear, and I think we haven't seen the pinnacle of lighting yet.
Can I put a tool idea out there that I want someone to make for me when it comes to lighting?
What's that?
Go ahead.
I'm not going to make it. I want something. Y'all remember the moonlight, right? We had the moonlight. Well, that thing was heavy as sin and whatever. But what if someone actually made an adjustable light that could still have the same fade, but I could make it I could make it, like, if I am working on a rail, I could curve it, or say if I'm working on a body
make it any
line,
shape you want.
I can make it to a shape.
Well, have you seen the new Google phones? They're foldable.
Yeah, the old Samsung phones.
I don't know if they Gorilla Glass, made by Corning, just announced that they're working on flexible glass. Believe it or not. I don't know how that works.
And this is all that stuff is exactly why I say I don't think we've seen
we're gonna have
top.
We're gonna have VR goggles. You're gonna put VR goggles on. You're gonna be able to see the whole panel, see all the bracing, see exactly what's underneath the car. It'll be all through
cool.
Tech RX.
Yes.
Well, what I propose is here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually be able to, seeing that I'm moving out of PDR manually and working for Anson. I'm actually going to be able to tell Hudson, he's going to have glasses on, and I'm going to see what he's working on, and I'm going to tell him how to fix it. Right? That's the future.
No, you all know it's all about, there's that feel to it,
Of course.
finding your tip.
There's still, all of it is going to come into play. We saw that at the show, Vince, with the tools that were being shown off for the future. That multi-camera kind of looks like a tablet. I can't really say what their device is, but it has multiple cameras and finds and circles and highlights every single bit of damage on a panel. So that stuff is out there. It's going to evolve into everything. Lighting, the manner in which we teach, the way we can teach, know.
And there's some really incredible guys out there in our industry that are behind the scenes too, that are developing stuff like this. One is Barry McTarcy in Ireland. He's got things that he's working, and he's got government backing and stuff like that for scanning tools and stuff. So there's things that are in the works that are going to make a world of difference in our industry. Huge.
So let's chug along here. I think this is a perfect segue into Daniel. What is your favorite tool invention so far in the PDR industry?
I thought about this when you asked Vince that question, and I have to go with the removable tip. The removable tip really changed our whole industry, and it's pivotal. That just being able to change that tip, we take it for granted now, but I'm changing the tip, 3 or 4 times on a single dent sometimes, and that's huge. It just makes your work come out cleaner, better.
And I don't mean to plug Hayes Freeman with his pivot caps yet, but now we're going to see even more versatility in the caps we put on our interchangeable tip.
Yep.
And I see the most development in tips coming.
Yeah.
And I think there's
Dave Stream's killing it.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to bring up, the edgy tools and the mini tips. What a game changer there. Who'd have thought making them smaller would have made it better?
Well, it makes sense too. We don't need all that material at the end. Sometimes we do. We need to get some length to it, but really our tips don't need to be, a half-inch long most of the time.
Yeah.
But and I agree with you, because everything that we see with tips in the past with the caps that we put on, all up until the last couple years, have been stuff off the shelf that we could go to Lowe's or Home Depot
vacuum
and buy.
Caps.
Yeah, exactly. Or chair tip rails or caps and stuff. Now we have PDR companies making stuff specifically for what we're doing.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It is.
So, what you're kind of known. You have. Your website is it MotoPDR, motorcyclepdr.com?
And motopdr.com.
So you are known as the motorcycle dent guy. You have
the
tools
guru.
You are the guru. So what is? Since you were such a motorcycle aficionado before, did it just naturally, when it came to PDR, you wanted to work on motorcycles? But what got you there?
You know what it was? My first shop that I had was right across the street from a Harley dealership, and those guys would come in all the time, and I tried to work on them, and I couldn't fix them. And it wasn't until I got the tank off, a guy delivered me a tank off the bike, and I strapped it down to a table, and I realized that they could be worked on. And that led to that invention. But that industry is a baby right now. And I can't wait to see that whole industry grow and grow and grow. And I had been watching it, and it's so neat to see these guys doing stuff, and growing that whole industry. And that is an industry on itself.
Do you feel, Daniel, that that's going to be your legacy? Do you want that to be your legacy? Do you because you've been around a long time, and you have PDR Tool Time, you have motorcycle PDR. You're getting up there in this industry now with age and what you can do. What do you want to be known for?
Well, you know what? I'd rather be known for the whole of it. I want to keep contributing, and I see retiring someday and just inventing tools. That's where I really want to end up when my body won't let me do what I want to do anymore. And I want to just sit back and invent tools. If I was sitting down at Ultra you'd be seeing new tools coming out every friggin' week.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if I had those means at my beck and call, you know,
And all the awesome machinery that's at
Yeah.
Ultra, the CNCs
Yeah.
and the benders and this and grinders and tons of bench grinders there.
yeah, and all those guys that have all those skills that I don't have, and say, hey, can you make this and make it do that? And because I have ideas in my head, but you know, I have a whole notebook of notes I keep by my bed, and so some days you guys will see some of those things. So hopefully it'll be more of a whole. Yeah, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
But I want it to be hopefully even be more.
Well, what I don't want it to be, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to get to the negatives too much, but I don't want your legacy to be the man that when I call him, he doesn't answer, or the guy that makes a Facebook post and never responds. But please understand, guys. Daniel will talk to anyone. I will talk to anyone. Hudson will talk to anyone, and John will talk to anyone. Sometimes we're really busy. A lot of us do have a lot of irons in the fire, and we got a lot of things going on. So, but a lot of people do want to talk to Daniel about tools and stuff. And I just want to plug you, Daniel, because you're very open with technicians. You'll talk to anyone. So if you don't leave a message, text him, and eventually he will get back to you, right?
Yeah.
So one thing about Daniel that if any of you have ever spent any time with him, is he has an obsession, and one of his obsessions is tiki.
Absolutely.
Oh, I need to know, what is the origin story of the tiki obsession? Why?
So my parents grew up in World War II. My dad was he was in the Navy. He was in World War II. He was on the battleship Mississippi. He was at Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
I've got pictures of him in uniform with a hula girl. My mom was a tiki model. And I have pictures of her tiki modeling.
Oh, so it's a family trait.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the whole origin of tiki was the sailors came from the
South Pacific. Yeah.
South Pacific, and it was paradise, and they wanted to remind themselves of paradise. So a tiki lounge, a traditional tiki lounge, has no windows in it. It's dark. It's a tiki lounge, not a tiki bar, a tiki lounge. So you lounge, tiki music, bird noises, and you drink tropical drinks, and your cares go away.
And it takes you back to where you were, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Or where you could be.
And so I grew up around that. And then you go to Disneyland and you go to the tiki room, the Enchanted Tiki Garden. And that was the start of it for me. That's where it all kind of clicked together, because I have another obsession is Disney.
Yes.
I love Disney.
If he wasn't married to his wife, Jill, which is a beautiful, wonderful woman, he would be married to Minnie Mouse or possibly Mickey.
And the thing I admire about Disney is, and I try to use this into PDR, is its details in a story. So, like for instance, I have a story for my shop. If you come into my shop, you'll see vintage gas pumps, Coke machines, candy machines, and junkies like that, because back then that was the start of our love affair with the automobile. Back then, my parents named all their automobiles. All my cars have names. It was a love affair, and I want to keep that alive. So when people come into the shop, I want to take them back to that. Take them back to when you pulled up to a gas station, you heard ding ding, and three guys came out. One guy's washing the windshield. One guy's checking the oil. The other guy's pumping air in the tires.
Yeah.
And pumping gas. That's forgotten.
Yeah. And you know what? It's one of those things too, Daniel, because we live in California, yourself and myself, and it is still to this day a car culture. You know,
Yes.
people are in love with their cars out here, and that's why we've been so successful out here in California. You know, the stuff that we fix here in California, being from Chicago, they would never even consider fixing in Chicago because a car is just a commodity. You use it as a tool, and it's gone for 3 years. After 3 years, you get a new one. But out here, cars last forever, and it's part of an extension of who you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a great book out there by Donald Miller called Story Brand, which is basically talking very much of what you just said about
Yes.
story. We all have a story. And so that's another good book plug if someone's looking to go with that kind of process for their business. Story Brand by Donald Miller speaks a lot into that.
Yeah. You create an experience.
If you come up with a story for your shop, if you're going to start a shop and you come up with a story first, it'll dictate the way it looks, the way it shapes out. So,
yeah.
So, whenever speaking of shop, well, now this wouldn't go with that. Would go. Yeah, let's do this. What is your best business decision?
buying my building.
Yeah.
That's simple.
Okay.
It's one of my regrets right now.
And so, okay, and that's simple.
I'll high five you next time we're together on that one.
Yeah. And then worst business decision.
Oh, there's too many.
Give me one. Give me your most ridiculous.
Well, he might not be able to talk about it because it's,
No, let's see. I've been audited once and been sued twice. One of the lawsuits was with David Weiss. So he sued me for saying that the designs I made for him were his, and he had the patents, which was a lie, and I had to defend myself, and it cost me $30,000 to defend myself to prove that he was wrong. And so that was a big deal. And then I just finished a lawsuit with my nephew, and I'm a little too generous, a little too Vince will back me up on this. I think too good of people. Or how do you say it, Vince?
You have a heart of gold, and you have a lot of you have a lot of faith in people, and people have let you down. Is what I would say.
Yeah.
You give them the benefit of the doubt, and human nature sometimes greed takes over.
Well, that might be your worst business decision. It kind of makes you a good human being.
Exactly.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So from what you learned from the last one, though, what can you tell our listeners about the importance of putting things on paper?
Get a contract, get a lawyer involved. Don't partner up with anybody without a lawyer first.
Or at least at the minimum something written on paper.
You know who's pushing that really well right now? Dan Ontrop with PDR Contractor.
Yeah.
If you're not on PDR Contractors yet, go and do it. I think the first year you can get for free, and then after that. But
I wish I met him a long time ago.
Yeah. We need to get on
Dan's and he's very sharp on those contracts that he has made up.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
one last question.
Yeah, please, because we're reaching
one.
the end here. Unfortunately, I could talk to Daniel all day. I could talk about Daniel all day. I love Daniel. He's my man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so, all right, I'll hit this last one. If you could go back and change one thing in your PDR career, what would that be?
Oh man, that's a good one. That is a good question.
I think he just answered it previously. Put things on paper. No.
Well, you know what? God, if I could have Mobile Tech RX, if I could have a Wayback Machine and have Mobile Tech RX, I never charged enough, and I always struggled with it. And it wasn't until I got Tony in there and I separated myself from doing the estimates.
And Tony is?
Tony the Tiger. She's my office manager. She's the greatest thing in the world.
Go on. And
she, I don't even like to talk to customers now because it separates me from the work. And I guarantee you, we're all guilty of it. We're all, when we have to give a price to a customer, we feel obligated to discount it. Or
That's true.
Honestly, we attach emotions to those dollars.
Exactly
because
right.
We know how easy something is or how hard something is. And we know how, if it's too easy, then we feel guilty that we have to give a little bit of money back.
Yeah.
You're right.
And with somebody like Tony, she doesn't know the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, she
Yep.
just spits it out and gets it approved, and you're like, holy shit, you got that much for that dent? Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Happy.
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
so I wish I would have
Awesome.
gotten a Tony a long time ago. Is
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably the answer for that.
That's awesome.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, Daniel, like I said, we could talk to you for hours about yourself because you have so many different stories. And I encourage anyone, if you meet up with Daniel at Mobile Tech Expo, or any of these shows that we show up, you know, we have the Anson Open House coming up here in April, Good Friday. Come out, talk to Daniel, talk to myself. Hudson, you'll probably be there.
Yes, I will.
John, you're still on the fence, I think.
Yeah. No, my partners are going to make it. Eric and Damon. So
Okay, so Eric and Damon are equally as cool as John. Come and talk to us. We're at heart, we are all Dent guys. You know, the idea of us being industry leaders and all that stuff, that's not a label we've put on ourselves. We are Dent guys at heart. We're out there and we love our industry. And come and talk to us. Stop us anytime. Call us anytime. We love this industry. And I want to thank Daniel. Daniel, thank you for opening up your history a little bit.
Yeah, I love hearing the stories of your past and the exploits, the great stuff.
Yeah, we didn't even get into when I toured with the Rolling Stones.
No, yeah. We'll have to get back to that
like next time.
That might be a little bit more explicit when you get into touring with the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, we have to keep this PG. That's
we
right.
do. Yeah. Because I know a roadie for the Rolling Stones, or was a roadie, and I know his stories are not very PG. So, well, wonderful. Listen, everyone out there, thank you so much for listening to us. This has been episode 161. Help us by contributing to our sponsors out there: CBD Direct, Mobile Tech RX, Magnatech Matte, Edgy
That's your own
Tools.
company.
I know.
Edgy Tools.
I'm more concerned about Edgy Tools
Tabs.
and the other guys. Hog Tools and Tabs and Anson and everyone, and just get out there and help our industry grow.
And tell some people about our show. Get us some more listeners. We need more listeners. New guys.
We got a lot, but we could always
We
use
love
more.
the old guys.
Yeah.
I really like it when the guys come up and say you enjoy the podcast and shake my hand and tell me, you know, what you're doing when you're listening to the podcast. I really like that.
It's pretty cool, huh?
So yeah,
it's
a lot of
nice.
fun.
We
All
do
right,
appreciate
guys.
that.
So
Remember, level up your tools.
don't do stupid stuff.
And keep it stiff. This has been another episode of PDR Tool Time.